see if we can get this going, man. Let's just see if we can do this for real. For real, y'all. For real. It's been kind of a morning. It's been kind of a morning. We've done feedback loop already. If you're catching this, but you didn't see it last time because YouTube updated their streaming keys. I didn't get that notification. So I'm hopeful that this time it's gonna work. Now I am going to, before we leave the gate, I'm gonna check YouTube. I'm just gonna check the Planet YouTube and make sure that everything's all lined up. Last time we did this, it was working fine, and it shows me live right now. So, hot diggity dog, this is a good thing. Now, YouTube. I love the YouTubes. Love live streaming on the YouTubes. Just gotta have better collaborate. We gotta collaborate. We gotta get in alignment, man. All right. So, Couchbot's gonna fire, but I've got a meeting coming up here at the top of the hour. So I'm definitely gonna shove off here. Let me clean up some of my windows here before we do this on the official. It is nice to know that it is in fact working. Trying to get ourselves back into a place where we can really look at this from a constructive perspective. I want to be constructive about what we're doing here today. Okay, so we've got that. We do not need this, so we're going to kill this now. And okay, we've got that. Where's my Figma at? Where is my Figma at? All right. This is the pre-show. Oh, Couchbot did fire. Well, that's good. That's positive. That's generally what we like. Let's make sure we got Figma though. I don't want to leave Figma out of this hot mess that we've created. All right. So yeah, got that. Oh yeah, I got the Funko Land too. I want to talk about that. All right. So without further ado, let's do this. Greetings, one and all. Chris Courtney here, New Pragmatic. We are back live and direct. The live stream's actually functioning now. Welcome back to the Feedback Loop. We've got a busy day. The reason I know it's a busy day is I've already done this. This is like Groundhog Day for me. It's like round 2. See, YouTube changed the live stream keys. So, yeah. Now, on that topic, the good news is we've got our live stream figured back out. We're back up and running. But sometimes it just, when these updates happen, and what I found is they happen about 3 times a year. We've been live streaming for a solid year now on YouTube. Small clap, golf clap. But these hiccups do happen every once in a while. With that said, I want to share my screen because we've got some student work to take a look at. Right out of the gate, hey, let's just talk about this for a second. This is Funko Pop. This is actually Figma Funko. We are going to have a meetup tomorrow night where we're talking about how to draw inside of Figma and how not only to draw inside of Figma, but how to do like articulate shading and things like that. So like if you intricate shading, not articulate shading. Anyway, if you look at how this is working right now, if we hide this stuff away, you can kind of see how I'm using Figma to actually make gradient shading. And this is a vector program, so it's kind of like, what are you doing? I'm just spending time being creative in the platform. And tomorrow, my hope is that you folks can join us along on the journey to where we can show you how to basically use components, and we're gonna make just a bunch of variants of existing Funko Pop caricatures, and it's a good time. You'll be able to make your own. You'll also be able to play around with the tools to draw with, and it's just gonna be a good time. Sign up. There'll be a link at the bottom. I'll also drop a link into the Discord chat channel. And if you're watching this and you're ready to have a good time, just click that subscribe button. You'll get notified anytime we go live, and we go live literally every day. So with that said, Funko Figma, Figma Pop, whatever you want to call it, tomorrow night, 7 p.m. That's a Wednesday, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. It's drunken after midnight in London, so if you're over in Europe and you're having a beverage and you want to draw in Figma with us, feel free to join us. All right, let's jump into this Affinity Map, and this actually belongs to Abby, and Abby was going through and working on her Affinity Mapping exercise, and the big questions that we had around this yesterday were, what are the key things that we need to be really focused on? And what she found was that the 4 topics that she came up with all kind of clustered around the same idea, in that there needs to be a consistent platform so that that public schools have a better chance of pooling their resources together and making it through this pandemic. Right now, according to our research, teachers are using like 5-10 different platforms. Like, everything is just everywhere, and it's very difficult for students, teachers, and parents to keep up with it. So that was her highest priority on the Affinity Mapping exercise. And in case you're wondering, like, okay, well, where is she pulling this information from? It's from over here. I told you folks, I've said it before, I'll say it again. This is the land of sticky notes. All these sticky notes that we throw around and we put on walls, they end up having a digital representation, okay? And Figma is a great tool for this digital representation. Also Miro. I think Miro is a fantastic tool for this as well, so you can go one or two directions on that. And actually, there's more. To be completely honest, there's more. But with that said, this, if you take a look at this, she's actually color-coded it. She has information from her stakeholder interviews here, or stakeholder observations. This is user interviews, so the vast majority of this is user interview observations, and this is all from survey. And surveys are little survey data sprinkled in here and there. Up here, so this is like the first cut of the information, and then this is the distillation up top, all right? And if we zoom in here, you can see teachers are individually bearing brunt of classroom adaptation. Schools need to be smart with money management. School year underway, students and teachers are struggling to adapt. So it's a lot of adaptation. Leadership from administration to provide consistent platform. Various platforms being duct taped together to provide a learning experience. To provide learning environment, make for a confusing experience. So there's lots of stuff here. Abby, I think what you're going to need when it comes time to present this back to the client is I think you've got a ton of information for this stuff, okay? Like when you go to make your case, and you're making personas now out of this top bit, but these secondary bits, you're going to want to lean on the information up here, and I think it was, right here. Like, what do you mean by money management? Well, poor quality Wi-Fi. And this was something that was very important. The Wi-Fi at the schools is terrible because all the teachers that are in these hybrid programs, like they're teaching in person and at home, so they're having to teach in the classroom and they're broadcasting out. Well, the Wi-Fi at school sucks. And because the Wi-Fi at school sucks, they're having trouble. It's not, the thought was, what if the student doesn't have Wi-Fi at home? But the moment you put the teacher back in the classroom and he or she is broadcasting out, they need good Wi-Fi at the school too. So there's that. There are, there was something else here. There was something else here that was important, and I don't think it made it over here. But it's this one right here. Doesn't have individual desks to make all 6 feet apart like school, so she's had to put up shower curtains between the students, and they have to wear masks all day. Like the spatial issues for budgeting, the individual desks, okay? The school budget's going to have to shift. And like the question is, okay, well, how does it have to shift? that's the supporting those bits of supporting evidence are what you want to have down here with your secondary observation. Okay, and this bit you probably will get to this less, so I'm not so concerned with that. But these top two, the highest priority and the secondary, those are the things that I really want you to have lots of evidence with, so that when you're going back to present your findings, you have something to support the recommendations that you're making, okay, and the solutions that you're coming up with. Obviously, for the highest one, you're going to go much deeper, but that secondary one, those cards that you already have, that needs to find its way and attaches here. And literally, I would literally just pick up some of these, like let's just pick up those two, and I would bring them down and attach them, just like straight up attach those right there to your board. Okay. All right. Let's jump over here to Katie. Katie has been working diligently on her fresh market project, and I think it's really coming along well. I think she's made a lot of adjustments. We've learned a lot about components, grid structure, typography. Are there any projects that are perfect? I'd likely say no, but Katie has come so far. This project is much further along. There's much more consistency here. And the one thing that I want to focus in on here today is there are still little areas that are inconsistent. You've done a good job, Katie, breaking down, like previously this was all the same. Like basically this button and this button were exactly the same. One had a border and one didn't. This is your primary, this is your secondary, and that's great. I'm glad to see that there's now been that delineation. And I'm also seeing like that secondary button is showing up here, and the question I have is, does it have a white background? It previously like had a pink border. This one does not have a white background. You see where I'm going at here? And I understand like the screen that's in the background can make it look like this has a color. So there's that weird gray zone where it's like, okay, well, what do I do here? And then there are other spots where it's still a bit inconsistent. Like here, this isn't a button, okay? This is a filter. It refilters the menu by what's popular, by the chicken, beef, sandwich. So I'm thinking the same sort of block sort of color comes into play. It shouldn't look like a button is appearing here now. So I would delineate between those. As we come through, there was one other that I noticed. There was this issue as well. Like here we've got a square button. Is there a reason why there's a square button and a rounded corner button? I couldn't make sense of it, so I want to just present that to you. Overall, the work is much better, and I will say that, and oddly enough, look at this. We said punt on this one, and because you had the components created, you just went ahead and went through with it, which is fine. Not judging. I love the fact that Katie keeps pushing. She keeps pushing. But where was it? There was. Oh, it's down here. Well, this is interesting. There's like filter options. Oh, okay, never mind. I get it now. But is this is back the menu like, is that the primary action, or should that be secondary? That wasn't the one though that I was. Maybe you've even cleaned it up since this morning, which would be honestly shocking because it's up here. It's up here. So here you now have a button with a border. It looks kind of like these buttons, and I think this is an artifact from what you had previously. We really want to go in and clean this up, okay? And I don't necessarily think view our menu should be the primary action. The primary action is selecting one of these, right? So I think this needs to step back to be a secondary. Long story short, though, Katie, I think you've done a really good job of elevating this work. It's a lot better than it was when you started. There's a lot greater consistency, and we're just really fine tuning the last bits of that consistency. The color palette is much more approachable. I think you had that darker blue that was appearing previously, and you've addressed that, and now it doesn't feel so overbearing. So that's really good news all the way around. I want to take a peek over at, well, that's Abby. We've talked about Abby, and that's not, we didn't talk about Abby negatively. This is okay. So one thing, started connecting prototypes. Still getting a little hung up on buttons, of course. Is there a way to attach flows to whole components? For example, is there a way that I can have all my nav bars linked to home menu, how it works, or do I have to manually connect them on every page? Okay, so my experience here has been that is something that if you actually, let's just come over here. So I'm going to try to demo this for you. So let's go up here to, I'm just going to create a page or create a frame, desktop, and it's right there. Okay. So we've got this, and I've got this. I'm going to actually just bring in, I don't want components, buttons, and cards. I want nav. You have a navigation, and yeah, we're going to bring this navigation in. All right, so got this navigation. This is how it works, and let's demo that. So you've got, let's go to prototype mode, and you've got menu. Okay. And let's just pretend that, we want that to go here to menu. And then you've got, and I'm not going to worry about the animations for a second. And let's pretend that you want to do, you've got how it works. Like how it works is the next one, right? And the problem is you got to get way in here so you can actually click on it. And actually, you should be able to click add interaction and say click, and then I want that to go to, I want that to navigate to, and then you can pick out the frame that you want. So this is supposed to go to how it works. All right. So when we did that, that obviously, instead of me physically dragging it over to how it works, it just went all the way over there. So this one is about us, and I don't know if there is an about us page. Doesn't really look like, but it does look like we have welcome Katie. Okay, so welcome Katie, that's going to be one that we want to go somewhere. So I'm going to add an interaction, on click, go to, on click, navigate to profile, profile update. All right, here we've got cart, so we're going to say on click, I want this to go to navigate to, I'm just going to say, I'm not going to say create an account. I'm just trying to, shopping cart. We'll go to shopping cart. Okay. So now, for better or worse, I've got several things here. If I wanted to copy that shape, if I copied that shape and I came down here to menu and I pasted it, when I pasted that shape, it maintained all the links. Okay? So what I would suggest to you is that you make all of your links once, and then you replace that component where necessary. Okay? And that should be the way that proliferates through your design. Instead of going to every single page and going, okay, now I need to connect this one to, or I need to connect, this back to home. And that's another really easy one to miss is, oh yeah, I want this Fresh Market Meals link here. I'm going to click on that. I want to add an interaction. I'm going to say, navigate to, and that should be like home. Do you have a home? Is that what it's called? Actually, I'm going to pause for a second and just mosey on down. This is called landing page 9. All right. So, and this is where like naming conventions really play a role. It's like, how do I even know where I'm linking to? So landing page 9. And again, that's really important because you want every page to have this like eject seat. And now when you paste that in, all that lines up. All right. Seems like because I've seen people struggle with this time and time again, I'm probably going to make a video on that one. Yeah. All right. Hope that was helpful. Let's jump over to, so that's Katie, and that's Abby. Let's jump over to Bren. All right. So Bren, you had a really interesting one. So I like your competitive matrix that you set up. I think that what you have here is really good. So you got Open Sports, Fast Play, Game Snake, and Connect to Play Sports. And some of these I haven't looked at fully. Like, so let's look at Game Snake. This is one I just haven't seen. And Game Snake, oh my God, that site is terrible. What year is this? This is like 2000. Is this a time machine? What is this? This feels like a time machine. It's like this is the Space Jam site. Space Jam. Space Jam website. SpaceJam.com, folks. Whoa. This is 1996. Crazy. And it still works. Press box shuttle. No Space Jam news at the moment. All right. Sorry. I had to go there because you took me here. You took me to Game Snake. All right. Let's go down here to Javelin Sports. I haven't seen Javelin Sports either. Okay. Join local sports leagues and pick up games. Okay. These are kind of competitors. Okay? This is for loose organization. All right? The competitors that I think you're, and like the one that you highlighted, this open sports thing, friggin' cool. Like, if I owned Active Weekends and I was thinking, do I build out my own customer management system or do I just import something like this? I totally import something like this. And the reason I do that, I gotta be honest, you had it right here, COVID screening questionnaire and waiver. Like, I don't have to go to each individual place and get this done. I don't have to have somebody standing at getting everybody to sign in, or I don't have to collect it before somebody can play. Perfect. Love it. That's a gigantic revenue saver because I'm not spending it on an extra body to do that thing. And it's probably, it's all like 2.1% of the pay. If I break it down, that's probably comparable, plus I don't have to pay healthcare on that thing, on that individual. So I like that, but that's not really what I see as a competitor to Active Weekends. These are platforms that Active Weekends should be using, but these are not the competitors. The competitors that I see for something like Active Weekends, let's just, so I was searching for like New York Sports League softball, okay? And when I look at this, I see NYC Social Sports, intramural leagues. So this is NYC Social, and of course, depending on the city you're in, I think you're in Austin, you'll find leagues like this there, but they're like, we're back on the field, select leagues available. So let's say play, and here are the leagues that are available, and you can kind of see these are the people. There's the kickball league, there's beach volleyball, and that looks like it's it. Now there's basketball here. Let's find a league. I'm not sure if there are any. It looks like there's upcoming leagues. So there are 0 leagues playing right now. All right. So it looks like this is probably shut down because of COVID. Like there's guidelines around like what you can and can't do. So it would appear that like these are the leagues that they've said you can do. You can do flag football, you can do kickball, you can do volleyball, you can do soccer, you can do softball. You can do things where people aren't touching each other. And that means that like that means basketball, totally out. People guarding each other, totally not a thing. I'm not even really sure how you play soccer, to be honest with you. People running at each other and stuff. So let's look at the safety standards. I'm just curious. Best practices. View upcoming programs. They've got a little video here. Mask policies, mandatory mask, temperature checks, sanitizers, social distancing. See, this is what those apps can't do. All right? Those apps like, hey, meet up with your people, but they can't they cannot, and it says here, leagues are returning. So click here to view safety standards, and these are the safety standards. So there are things coming back into play, and the question is, what's going on where you are with this particular assignment? Okay? Find the things that are like this. Those are the competitors. These are the tools used by these platforms. Or these are the platforms used by those companies. But they're good to know. They're absolutely good to know about. All right? So, long story short, I like the matrix. I like the depth. Like, this is really great. But what we need, and actually, in my recommendations, when you pitch this back to the client, I would pitch that you utilize open sports to facilitate something like screening or any sort of streamlining of waivers. I think that's a really good thing. And or you could ask them, you can go back and say, hey, by the way, do you have a system for automatically accepting waivers? And they may say yes, or they may say no, we don't have anything like that. Then you go, I think for liability purposes, as you're coming back in and now you have greater liability concerns, you should really be putting a huge emphasis on that thing by using open sports. We recommend you use this. Okay? So that's what I would say, but like the way you've done the matrix is fine. Who the competitors are bit off. Because these are the platforms, these are not the actual competitors. All right. Moving forward, Ricardo. Okay. So you have you're in the wicked problem land, and it's a bit ironic that you're bringing up the lack of events and the lack of advertisements are causing a problem while designing a print newspaper, and I agree with you. There's a real issue with trying to put together any sort of production of news in an environment when you don't even know if events are going to happen. Particularly sports or entertainment, like television shows and movies, like all of that's been blown up. Sporting events, like, well, are they going to play or aren't they going to play? There's no fans. Many of the games are being canceled at random. The Chiefs and Patriots the other night were canceled because outbreak of COVID. So, like, this is a real issue. Can you imagine working in one of those towns? Well, you can because you're in Chicago. But I don't see that as a wicked problem long term, because it seems like for the past 100 years or so, print publications have grown and shrank, and people have just kind of worked through it. You know, you rebudget, make the photo bigger, you make the photo smaller. The bigger problem here is what to do about refocusing this product. Like, there are fewer advertisements. You know, if I cover a live event, I don't have anything beyond that moment in time. If somebody makes commentary on it, like, I can't collect that because it's print. You know, it's not like this is still a viable usage of print. This is a book, and it teaches you things. And I put it away. I bought this like 4 years ago, and I break it out every once in a while, and I'll sketch like the melon here, and I still find usage in it. But a newspaper that I might have worked on a decade ago, 4 years ago, yesterday, it was useless. I mean, because it's just generally dead news. Like there's nothing live about it. The internet solves that problem. The bigger problem, I think, you're in the right space here, but the bigger problem is print is valuable, but what needs to be part of it to make it valuable? It's not live news. Like live news is the last thing that newspapers need to be doing, but yet that's where they're kind of trapped. They're trapped in this cycle, and since the year 2000, newspapers have been on a steady slide. That's 20 years, 2 decades of consistent downtrend. So that would be more of the wicked problem. I think you're in the right space, but you're seeing it too much on the macro, or actually the micro. Sorry, I always get micro and macro mixed up in my head. But you're very micro. You're very like day to day. I need you to zoom out year to year, okay? And when you zoom out year to year, you see a very different problem. That the day to day, what do we do with the space? Oh, well, we rearrange it. We add a story. We take a story away. We add a page. We take a page away. That ad dropped. Make the photo bigger. More ads came in. Make the photo smaller. There's flex points. What do you do about the product itself? That's the real wicked problem. And so far, from what I've seen, nobody solved it. 20 years of effort and thousands of people tackling it. Nobody's figured it out. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to wrap it up for today's edition of the Feedback Loop. I hope you found it useful. I also hope it shows up on YouTube. But without further ado, I'm Chris Courtney. I will see, I'm actually seeing some of you like in 5 minutes, and the rest of you tomorrow night. It's Figma Pop. It's Funkoma. Funkoma? Nah, I don't like that one. It's Figma Pop. Figma Pop tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, and I will hopefully see you then. Take care.